This type of scene is iconic, and there's mainly one story responsible for it. Being regarded as one of the first science fiction novels ever written, Frankenstein's influence in the genre and in pop culture cannot be overstated. Mad scientists, manufactured monsters, and the phrase,
"It's alive! Alive!
It's alive!
Alive! It's alive!
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
were all created by Mary Shelley. However, the novel that inspired this trope was actually based on a real man and his disturbing experiments. On February 18, 1745, Alessandro Giuseppe Antonio Anastasio Volta was born in the town of Como, Italy, to noble parents. Having excelled in school, he became a professor of physics at the Royal School in Como. He was known for using and improving the electrophorus, a device capable of generating static electricity. Later, as a professor of experimental physics at the University of Pavia, his lectures were so popular that the subsequent Emperor Joseph II had a brand new auditorium built named the Aula Volta to accommodate them. Volta made an incredible discovery. He found that dissimilar metals with an electrolyte solution produced electricity. This discovery culminated in his battery pile, which revolutionized the way electricity was studied. Labs all across the world now had the power to harness electricity for all kinds of experiments. Before then, scientists had to rely on Leyden jars, which only stored static electricity, if they ever worked at all. Without the battery, no one would have been able to play around with electricity like they did. Siemens's direct current electric generator, Faraday's electromagnetic induction ring, and Tesla's coil simply would have never existed. Volta was a pioneer. Now, how did we get to Frankenstein? It actually wasn't Volta at all, but a man named Galvani. On a stormy evening in 1970, the esteemed physician and anatomist Luigi Galvani was performing dissections on frogs. But as his assistant's scalpel touched the flayed amphibian, they watched in amazement as the frog's legs began to twitch. Intrigued, Galvani performed numerous other experiments. The lives of hundreds of frogs paved the way for Galvani's studies as he hung them from railings inside and outside, watching as their legs contracted and convulsed. A nightmare for herpetologists everywhere. He concluded that somehow all living bodies generated electricity that was used for motor functions, as was clearly demonstrated as the legs twitched when a complete circuit was made with the body. Galvani shocked the scientific world as he published his findings in 1971. Remember Alessandro Volta? He owes his creation of the battery pile to Galvani. After reading his findings and recreating his experiments, Volta concluded that electricity was not coming from the frogs, but rather being generated as two dissimilar metals met in an electrolyte solution the frogs were soaked in. Galvani, Volta, and nearly every notable scientist in Europe feuded over the different models for electricity for years, each performing their experiments to prove their sides. Galvani's studies culminated in an experiment demonstrating that two frogs, with their exposed nerves connected, no wires involved, would twitch when connected. They did, because of the brass hooks they were hung up on. But Galvani's peers celebrated this as one of the most beautiful, valuable experiments of the 18th century. However, Volta's battery pile in 1800 proved his side once and for all, leaving Galvani's reputation tarnished as he lost his university position, his income, and soon his life. He succumbed to an illness and perished in his brother's home. However, this was not the end of galvanism, thanks to his nephew. At the Royal College of Surgeons in London, 1804, Giovanni Aldini carefully flayed open the skin of a hanged convict, George Forster. A crowd of onlookers in the surgical theater watched in morbid curiosity as wires were inserted into the body, and Forster's limbs contracted and convulsed as electricity was pumped into the dead convict. As Aldini performed numerous other experiments on various animals with similar results, the public was shocked and began to latch on. The voice of superstition grew ever louder as publications like this popularized the idea that galvanism could be the secret to raising the very dead to life. These sensational publications caught the eye of many imaginative minds, but one writer in particular saw the narrative potential in galvanism's gruesome experiments and ran with it. On another stormy night, in 1816, writers Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, and Lord Byron found themselves in a mountain getaway, brainstorming ideas for spooky new tales. While pens hit paper with zealous abandon, narratives, ideas, and plots darted around the room as the creatives bounced them off of each other. Mary Shelley's mind was swimming, with visions of mad scientists, angry mobs, and terrifying artificial monsters caught up in electrifying chains. Inspired by galvanism, Mary Shelley furiously got to work. 2 years later, Frankenstein, a modern Prometheus, hit the shelves and was an instant hit. Pretty soon, there were stories everywhere involving crazy scientists losing control of their creations, and the genre of science fiction was born. All this from a frog. While Galvani's reputation may have been tarnished by Volta's battery pile, his legacy lives on through one of the most influential novels of all time. In an 1831 edition's preface, Shelley wrote, "Perhaps a corpse would be reanimated. Galvanism had given token of such things. Perhaps the component parts of a creature might be manufactured, brought together, and endued with vital warmth."